This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Well, there we are. Hello, everybody. Keith Angle, TGI Sports Talk. Had a little trouble getting myself in the room here. So good morning here on this gloomy Veterans Day. Certainly want to thank, it's funny. I have a hard time saying Happy Veterans Day. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to thank all of our viewers, our followers, all of my friends and family who have served in our military. I want to thank them for their service on this day, and every day, to be honest with you. We should thank them every day of the calendar year. It is because of these men and women and the sacrifices that they've made through the decades that this country is still what it is. We have our problems, but again, where are you going to go? So thank you to all of you that have sacrificed so much for your country. And I'll thank you for your service from now until the end of time. So thank you for that very, very much. I'll be joined by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker, I'm sure, here in a few minutes. We're going to dive into some Major League Baseball and talk a little bit about the Astros World Series victory. Are they a dynasty? One of us says yes. I don't know about the other one. Is Dusty Baker a sure Hall of Famer now? And we'll look at some of the free agents. I'm going to key today on just a couple. Aaron Judge, DeGrom and Verlander, and then the shortstop situation. We have a log jam of players available. We'll look at the NFL, some surprises, some disappointments. Is Artua and Geno Smith headed for big paydays? And the college football landscape, we'll take a look at the playoff rankings as they stand today and how they may turn out. And will the committee get it right? And where are the stumbling blocks? We'll see how much of that we can get to. We want to get your comments and your topics as well. And we'll dive into that very, very quickly. I may have to dive into it myself if the Mad New Yorker does not arrive soon. I don't have any texts from him, but we'll wing it here as long as we need to. So good morning to everybody on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Remember, you can watch this show live, or I should say plausibly live later on Roku, 10 a.m. And you can also see it at various times next week. I'm actually, I think we'll put it out a few times next week as well. And please make sure you join us for our Sunday Stream of Consciousness show on Sundays at 8:30. We'll cover all the world of sports there. We have our college football huddle on Wednesdays, and that's about it. So let's dive in here today. We don't have. We only got an hour, so I don't want to wait for Carlos too long here. So let's dive in quickly. The Astros, I would say, fairly handily beat the Phillies. Now, I know that the Phillies, showed some power early. But the Astros pitching pretty much dominated. And I saw some posts from Philly fans saying that their bullpen and their staff man-for-man matches up with the Astros. Not even close. Nolan Wheeler didn't pitch well. Their bullpen wasn't as good as the Astros. The Astros can just throw guys throwing gas at you, guy after guy after guy. And they're built for this. They're the best run organization in baseball, if not professional sports at the moment. Dusty Baker, well over 2,000 victories as a manager, finally gets his first World Series win. And Dusty should be a Hall of Famer now. Dusty probably should have been a Hall of Famer before. Excuse me, I still got a few lingering effects from my battle last week. Thank you for all your comments about that. So Dusty should be a Hall of Famer. And how should we look at this Astros team from the last 6 years? This team in the last 6 years has been to 6 consecutive ALCSs. They've been to 4 World Series, and they've won 2. There are very few runs since baseball went to divisional play in 1969 that have been as good as this. You can look at the Orioles of that era, the first part of the divisional era, but they only won 1 World Series. But they were the dominant team in that era. You can look at the Braves, a 12-year run of winning division titles, but again, 1 World Series victory. I only got to a couple. You can look at the Yankees, which I think is probably the best dynasty that we've had in the post-divisional era. And I think you can match up nicely there. They won 4 World Series over a 5-year span. So probably better than this run. But the Astros match up very well with all of those teams. And don't tell me about the sign stealing scandal. I'm not going to call it a cheating scandal in 2017. People were doing this stuff everywhere. I keep saying that. What we got here? CA, good morning. CA, good to have you with us. Stros back to back, but Dusty wants to come back and do it again. I mean, CA, do you agree with me? This is a dynasty. There's no other way to describe what the Astros have done here. And let's not forget, we go back only as far as 2013, even 2014, they only won 70 games, but in 13, 12, and 11, 51 wins in 2013. And if I'm not mistaken, it was in 2014 that Sports Illustrated put them on their cover and said this Astros would win the World Series within the next 5 years. And sure enough, they won in 2017. And again, please don't throw the cheating stuff at me. This is a team that the thing they do best is run prevention. Defense, pitching, that's what's, I think, fueled this dynasty. And again, I'm going to call it a dynasty because I think it is. I was really hoping that Matt New Yorker would be here this morning so we could debate this a little bit because I'm not sure what his take would be. But I'm happy to do it with anybody here. Please don't, first of all, that was 1 year. And I do not think, do I think it might have impacted the games? Maybe, yes. But the thing they do best, I said, is run prevention. Stealing signs doesn't help you get guys out. Stealing signs helps you hit the ball. But they weren't giving up any runs anyway. Good morning, Alan. Good to have you. I don't know where Carlos is. You want to debate this Astros? You're from the area, so you're from Oklahoma. You're a Texas Ranger fan. Again, I've made a very strong comment, and I will continue to make strong comments that this is a dynastic team. There's no other team, and again, there's only a handful of players left from 2017. There's Bergman, there's Altuve, there's McCullers in the pen or in the pitching staff. I don't know if there's anybody else. I think there might be 4 guys left total. The other one's slipping my mind from 2017. So they've had significant turnover. That's why I say they're the best run organization in all of baseball and maybe all of sports. I mean, I don't know how you can debate that. And Dusty needs to be needs to be. You know what, Alan? I'm going to let you come in today. I don't know where Carlos is, but if he comes in, we'll have a little. Justin gone fishing. Justin's opted out, but Justin, we're going to talk about Justin Verlander in just a little bit too, because I want to focus on. Now, Verlander wasn't there in 2017, was he? Alan? Let me take a look at something here. I don't think Justin Verlander arrived until, maybe I'm wrong. He might have been a midseason acquisition that year. Let me check my baseball reference. We can find out pretty quickly. No, he did not. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, he got there in 2017. He was a midseason trade acquisition. So yeah, so you've got those four guys. That's it. Fourth would be McCullers, by the way. Drafted. Not sure what we're talking about here, CA. By the way, I'll say again, because I know we've had some people join us soon. I want to say I hate saying happy Veterans Day. It's not the right thing to say. Just thank you for your service, all of you service men and women out there. I want to say that one more time. And I'll say it at the bottom of the show as well. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to invite. I'll even bring CA in. I don't care who wants to come in right now. We'll try. We're going to do something a little extreme today, and I'm going to put the link in here, and we'll do something different since we don't have the Mad New Yorker this morning. We'll see if you guys want to pop in. If anybody wants to debate this with me, they want to debate I want to talk about free agency as well. And I know Alan has some strong feelings about his Rangers, and I know for a fact this team would make a huge, I don't know for a fact, I have a very strong opinion this team would make a huge mistake trying to sign Jacob deGrom. So we'll get into that. We'll talk more. Well, I'll continue to talk about the Astros as well, and then we're going to get into some NFL and some college football before we end the show today. So, so I'm not sure where. Oh, drafted. Look at Alan. Alan is a TV personality now, man. He can't wait to get in here. So we're bringing Alan in. Good morning, Alan. How are you today?
A little tired, but I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I just got off work, so.
So you're going to have to go, if you want to fill in for Carlos today, you're going to have to go a long ways towards being outrageous. So just to say, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I want to move into the free agency a little bit because I know you have some thoughts there too. Are the Astros a dynasty? I don't see any way you can look at them as anything but a dynasty. Again, since the start of divisional play in 1969, there's only been a handful of teams with a run like they've had the last 6 years.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you want to ask the Yankees if they're a dynasty or not? Because considering that they've kept the Yankees from being in the World Series the last few years,
I'll ask the Yankees.
I would say that's
I'm a Yankee fan. I'm telling you, they're a dynasty. I don't care that Brian Cashman can talk about the sign stealing thing until he's blue in the face, and he's not going to tell me the Yankees have been a better team than the Astros the last 6 years. That's for sure. I
mean, you look at it, other than 2020 and 2018, the Astros have been in the World Series every year since that 2017 championship. So, they've had a consistent team.
They have been in the LCS 6 consecutive years, 4 World Series trips, 2 championships. How many teams? The 90 Yankees can match that. 90 to 2001, they won 4 out of 5. That's the only team that even approaches this. Well, the Braves in the early 90s, but they won 1 World Series. The Orioles, you're a little young to remember the Orioles of the first part of the divisional era in 1969 to 74, whatever. But again, they only won 1 World Series, as great as that team was. So by all accounts, I don't know how you can say, number one, this team's not a dynasty, and number 2, Dusty Baker has got to go in the Hall of Fame ASAP. Great man. in there already.
I would have put Dusty in the Hall of Fame even if he didn't win his ring this year.
I agree.
He's been that good of a coach, manager everywhere he's been. Where I became a Cubs fan in 2003 when he was there, and that Cubs team was about a couple games away from being in the World Series, and then the whole Steve Barton thing happened.
I forgot about your split allegiances here, which I have very strong feelings about too, Alan. We'll get that to a different day. So,
hey, I support both teams equally. So,
what?
And they're both bad. They're both bad equally.
That's my problem. You young guys today, you got to commit and stay committed. Oh, listen, that's fine. So anyway, again, kudos to the Astros. Kudos to Dusty Baker, and they have had a great run. And morning, by the way, to Robert Butler. Thanks for popping in, Robert. Sorry, Carlos isn't here. I know you probably stopped in to see the musings of Carlos, but. And there's my dad and my stepmom, probably. Good morning, Robert and Jeanette.
Morning, Bob.
So Alan Perales, who's filling in for Carlos today, who's MIA. We don't hope he's okay and everything's going okay. Oh, there he is now. So I don't know if I should let him in. I'm going to dock him a day's pay and showing up late, but we'll bring him in here. Carlos. Good morning, Carlos. I had to bring Alan in because I didn't want to talk to myself all morning. I didn't know if you were going to be here. Please, all right. You look like you just woke up, got out of bed.
Yeah, happy Veterans Day, everybody. How you doing?
Yes, again, thank you. As I said, thank you to all the veterans out there for your service and sacrifice over the decades. And we'll continue to say that as the day goes on. I got to do something with the screen, though, because this isn't working for me here. How am I going to do this? I might have to make you guys a little smaller today.
That's all right.
So, Carlos, real quick before I move on to free agency, we'll leave Alan in with us today to kind of make this three-way argument. I've been touting the Astros victory here. That they are a modern day dynasty when you compare it to anybody else except for the Yankees, maybe the 90s. They match up with anybody else you want to compare them to back to 1969 in the beginning of divisional baseball.
I see them more like the Toronto Blue Jays, maybe with the pitching staff. That had a couple guys in there for a couple years. I mean,
2 years, but over 6 years. Remember, this is a team that 6 years in a row has gone to the ALCS, 4 World Series, 2 World Championships. As good as that Blue Jay team was, they didn't match that over a 6-year period.
No, they didn't. But they had that pitching staff, and of course, that pitching staff is not deep. It wasn't. It's kind of what got him in trouble at the end of as the age got into Stewart and some of those guys. As far as talent and the teamwork that they have with each other and the defense that they played, and they had some hitters on that Toronto team too. They had Olerud, they had Joe Carter. They had guys.
Those are great teams for sure. I mean, there's a couple of guys that finished their careers up there that were Hall of Famers, and Paul Molitor and Dave Winfield that were key contributors to those back-to-back championship teams. But again, I would say they're one of the best teams of the last 50 years for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Yankees of the 90s and now the Astros have moved into second place.
I think for as far as the media and the way people are like looking at it, the tarnish of the scandal, the cheating scandal, is something that's gonna they
need to get over it.
Yeah, people need to. Well, it's hard to look past that when you're in New York.
Look, I'm in New York, and there's no bigger Yankee fan than me, and I keep telling you it's a bunch of nonsense about nothing because everybody does the same thing. They did it better. It's just the way it is. People they've been stealing signs and finding better ways to do it since the invention of baseball. So
the thing is that it's it's who you talk to as well. Like you're okay with it. You've moved past it, but some people won't. So.
Well, you know why it's easy and for you to move past it. The Yankees didn't score any runs. The Dodgers didn't score any runs. You got to score runs, and stealing signs doesn't help you prevent runs. It helps you score runs, but not prevent them. And the Astros were very good at preventing runs, and that's why they're as good as they are.
Yeah, they had good help by that rookie Perez. He did very well. So
Look at this team. This is the best run organization in baseball by far. Maybe in sports. They're at the top echelon in sports of best run organizations because of, again, we just talked about it. Alan and I were talking about it a little bit as he came in and before he came in the room. There's only 4 guys on this team from 2017, I believe. 4 guys. That's it. That's pretty good when you can keep turning over your roster, stay young, keep your payroll in line, and still win. And that's what the Astros have done. Better than anybody.
Let me ask you guys this. Would you throw the 2010s Giants in that mix when they won 3 of 5?
That's a good one. So that's over a 5-6 year period. Yes. I mean, they were, in even years, they were like unbeatable, right? So I should have known you'd bring them up being who your new manager is over there, Alan. Yes.
Well, I mean, they did win 3 and 5, so I got to give them credit for that.
That's an excellent, and they get forgotten too. Those teams, they really do, because they didn't win any back-to-back, right? So there's nothing that really sticks out, and they weren't. I mean, they didn't have, if I remember right, there's no Aaron Judges on this team, right? There was no Jose Altuve's. They were just a lunch pail team and good pitching staffs, really good pitching.
I think the only guy you would count is probably Buster Posey. Catcher.
Posey, I would say, was a superstar, right?
And then Lincecum before he started getting hurt.
Yeah, Tim Lincecum as well.
Yeah, we had to change the rules for Buster Posey's injury as well. So another great move by Major League Baseball. But we won't get into that today. Listen, before we stop talking about baseball here today, I want to talk about free agency, and I want to concentrate in a couple of places today because we got all winter to talk about this. Aaron Judge a little bit, DeGrom and Verlander, 2 interesting cases, I think, in free agency, and then the shortstop situation, because there's a bunch of guys. You got Bogarts, you got the Swanson, you got
Correa
and Turner, all available at the same time. So it's going to be an interesting market for that. Well, we'll spend just a few minutes on Judge because we've talked about it a lot. I'm going to say the Yankees still need to bring him back. But the Giants fired a salvo this week saying, they don't have any financial restrictions as far as being able to sign free agents. They didn't mention Judge by name, obviously, but they're probably the main competition for the Yankees. There'll be plenty of competitors, including the guy across town. And I've seen reports that they expect the contract to be like 9 years, $325 million. And I think that's way low. If Steve Cohen gets involved in this, it's going to be $400 million. What are you guys' thoughts?
Whoever puts out the first bid is what Judge's agent is going to use against the Yankees for sure. It's up to Aaron Judge and what he wants to do at the end of the day, and let's make sure that all the faxes are read after midnight. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, we don't want him to have a Freddie Freeman deal on our hands here, right?
Yeah, I've heard pretty sure that the Giants are going to go all in and try to get Aaron Judge, but like you mentioned that they don't have that cat penalty anymore. So it's like, if they really want to spend that money to go get Aaron Judge, I mean, kudos to them. But is it really going to help that team in the long run?
Well, they did it for Barry Bonds, and it didn't help. It only helped them for 1 year, so 1 season. So
there's CA talking about the Astros. He's right with that comment. Listen. There's no doubt in my mind the Yankees are going to have to overpay. They're going to have to pay more than they want to pay, but that's their own fault for not getting this done sooner. I still think they have no choice but to get it done. I'm a little concerned that they're as wishy-washy as they seem.
The Yankees can't do it because they're already in bed with the two biggest contracts in Cole and then also with oh my gosh, what's his name? Just
Stan.
I was going to say,
but there's no reason. This is the Yankees. It's not the Royals.
No. See, you're not. Again, everybody keeps misunderstanding and construing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you're the best player in baseball, you want to be the most paid baseball player in the clubhouse. So you got to walk in, and everybody's got to look at you and say you're the best player on the team because you're getting paid the most and got the best contract. And the Yankees can't afford to do that because they've already done that, making Cole the best paid pitcher in baseball.
Well, he's not the best player,
and then Stanton and picking up Stanton's contract. So if I'm the best player in baseball and I have to walk into the clubhouse and I'm not the most paid player on the team, that feels like a little bit of disrespect. And that's what I'm saying. Is like, as much as like, everybody's talking about all this and that. If you are the best player in baseball, you want to be treated like the best player in baseball. You have to have the best contract in baseball, and you can't be a third or fourth or fifth player on the roster with the fourth or fifth paid more as being the most paid player on the team.
Has Stanton been the best player in his team the last 4 years?
No, but he's got a good contract. So
sure he does, but he hasn't been the best player.
But you got to walk. But it doesn't matter. The Yankees have to make Judge the best paid player in New York.
I don't disagree with that at all, and
he can't do it.
Whatever he wants.
Yeah, they're hamstrung. They can't do it. That's just the way it is.
No, you keep saying they can't. They can.
They could outstretch their budget and do that, but they're not going to give. I don't think they're willing to give Judge more than +6. I don't think so.
He's going to get 10 years, $400 million. I guarantee it. And CA's right. They cannot afford not to sign him, and Judge is going to enjoy the bidding show. I agree. This is not going to end anytime soon.
What they pay him.
Go ahead, Alan.
See what they pay him. Eventually, they're going to get back in 5 years anyway, because this is the Yankees. Remember, they're the second most valuable franchise in all of sports, next to the Dallas Cowboys. So,
right, you saying that just reassures the fact that the Steinbrenners don't have to pay for anybody because they're the best and the most paid team in sports. So they don't need Judge. They really don't need anybody. They could
don't need Judge.
Put a farm team on the field, and they'll be okay because they're going to get money because they're the New York Yankees. The players don't make the Yankees. Yankees make the player. That's just the way it is.
Guys like Harrison Bader, the way you market Aaron Judge. Come on, Aaron Judge.
Listen, they don't have to worry about marketing, Keith. Marketing is nothing essential for the Yankees. They have to win. They want to win. That's the most important and the end all be all of what the Yankees.
That's why they need to sign Aaron Judge. By the way,
he's just one player. They can get like 5 players for his what he does.
You were probably one of the guys there at the stadium booing him during the playoffs. It would be my guess.
I was sad that he didn't do anything in the playoffs because he is the best. He was the best player this year for the Yankees, and he didn't show up.
Let's ask a question. Yes, he didn't. I agree. But a lot of guys haven't showed up in the playoffs. I should.
Why would the wallet open all of a sudden? If he had done maybe a third of what he did this season for the playoffs, that wallet would have been wide open.
Is this going to affect? Will that affect this negotiations? And the fact that
at the end of the day, the Steinbrenners are not. They don't have a World Series, and they got to pay for the best player in baseball. How does that work out for you? That's like being at the bar and paying for all the drinks for the prettiest girl, and she leaves with your best friend. Come on, man.
No, my guy isn't leaving if I pay him. So I'm not following your analogy. I'm asking you this though. Forget about the Yankees for a second. Aaron, let's focus on Aaron Judge for a second. Does the booing affect his decision whether to return to the Yankees?
The taxes he's got to pay is going to affect more than the booing. Well, but at the end of the day, he wants a contract for the rest of his career. Is what he's looking. It sounds like what he's looking for.
Well, I voted for lower taxes in New York, just so you know, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't win. That's a different conversation. Listen, this will go on. I don't think he's going to sign anywhere real quick. So we're going to have a few more weeks to debate this topic. Let me move on to DeGrom and Verlander. Two guys. Verlander's 39 years old. DeGrom, a different situation. 34.
Plays like he's 39.
He's
plays
34.
like average. What is he averaging? 10 games the last 3 seasons?
Yeah, I mean,
here.
I had this little conversation. Well, we didn't have a conversation because I don't think Alan ever replied when I shot him down the other day. He wants the Rangers to chase DeGrom, and I think that's crazy. If you got a team that's a couple years away from competing, you can't sign a guy to a 4-year contract that's going to be 36 years old and a bum arm by the time you're ready to compete.
It's not. It's just what he's not. He might be producing, but he's not producing in the clip that he's that he's going to get paid for. So the Mets can't afford to make that kind of decision on one player when they get a lot of other players on their roster that are younger and will give them more depth at the end of the year.
If I'm the Mets or I'm another contender, I would give them 2 years at what they paid Scherzer. That's fine. That's not a big gamble.
I don't understand why they can't give him 1 year with the option of 2.
I don't think he's going to sign that. He's going to want some guarantees, right?
Right. I mean, but that's on. Does DeGrom deserve guaranteed contract this year?
No, I'm
Well,
not
he
giving him 4 or 5 years. That's what he's going to go after, and he's not.
So-
Anybody gives him 4 or 5 years is nuts.
Yeah, so if the Rangers want him, take him, man. Like that's never been an issue in New York as far as like players coming and going that have been somebody that they could have kept. I mean, they let go of Wheeler, didn't they? So why would it be any different of them letting go of DeGrom? It's if the money situation it has to like balance out. They don't really have to think about that anymore with Cohen as an owner. But at the end of the day, it's like what I say. You paying these guys, and they have to stand out, and they have to, be at least look like what they're worth in the clubhouse, right?
Alan, tell me why you want a guy who's physically compromised. When he's healthy, he may be the best pitcher in baseball still when he's healthy. But why would you? Why would you, with your team where it is, not ready to compete next year? Remember this. Why do you want this guy?
I mean, I would like him for like you said, that chance of him having that great arm again. But I personally would not be upset if he didn't come to Texas. I did hear that he wants to listen to their offer and he's willing to make a deal with them.
Well, I'm worried.
And I do know that they're also they did make a trade with the Braves just yesterday for a starting pitcher. I can't quite remember who his name is, but I know they made a trade with Atlanta.
Yeah, what's his name? Arazadani, whatever his name is. He's no Jacob deGrom. Let's put it that way. He's a decent major league pitcher, but he's probably the kind of guy you ought to go after.
And I know that
retain Perez. And again, hopefully you don't want him, but your team has a history of bad contracts to these types of guys. If they give him 4 or 5 years, they're nuts, because by the time they're ready to compete, they're going to be paying him $40 million, and he's going to be sitting with his arm in a cast. See,
I don't think it's going to be 4 or 5 years. If anything, it'd probably be like a 2 or a 3 year deal, I think, is what they would try to do for DeGrom. But I know also that they want to go after like Carlos Rodon,
probably
a couple other pitchers that they have their eyes on. I know that for the outfield, I know Jock Peterson's name has been thrown in there, maybe as a veteran left fielder. They do need some help at the outfield a bit. I would actually also go get a bullpen guy because they desperately need help in the bullpen. For sure.
If they're smart, they talk to Bruce Bochy and say, "What do you want?"
Right, and Bochy's going to come in and he's going to do what he does all the time, and he's going to be like, "Let's get 5 or 8 guys in here from the minors that need to be in the majors, and let's see what we can put together." Like he does a good job in piecing teams together, like you said earlier. Keith is like out of a pail, like he does a good job doing that, and he's one guy that knows how to, as a manager, coach him up. So absolutely. I mean. I don't see the Rangers spending too much money, but they're going to be competitive and they're going to have a few more games under the belt with Bochy there. But Bochy's like one of those guys, man. He'll dig and dig. He'll bring people from Japan and Korea and stuff. That
agreed.
Major League
Giants, yeah. So
back
to DeGrom. Does he return to the Mets, Carlos? I
don't think so. I just think it's too much money, and they got too many issues now. They got that Scherzer contract, and he's the most and best paid pitcher on the Mets roster, which is looking shaky right now. And if they can get rid of both of these guys, I'll be okay with that, as long as you bring in some younger 2 guys that'll give you at least 12 games. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's all you can count on from DeGrom. Where do you think he ends up, Alan? Quickly.
I honestly do not know. If he does end up with Texas, I think it's like a 2 or 3 year thing, and they find a way to bring Perez back, and you have Perez, DeGrom, maybe Rodon if they're able to swing it, and then John Gray still there. So that would be a decent rotation if they were able to get all 4, but I don't think they'll be able to get all 4.
I think
that money's gonna hold them back if they get DeGrom. So he's got.
I think the Dodgers are where he'll end up. I would say the Angels, if it wasn't for the ownership situation there, I would say he'd be an Angel. But I'll take the Dodgers.
I mean, Kershaw just re-upped, so I don't know what the Dodgers are doing. I wouldn't have gave him that year.
Though, right? I think it was only 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was 1 year.
So Verlander's a little different situation because he's 5 years older. He's also had some arm issues, but when he's on, man, he's still one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's likely to win the Cy Young Award in the American League this year. I think he stays with the Astros with a 2-year deal, similar to what his old teammate Scherzer got. What are your guys' thoughts there?
Yeah, I think he stays with the Astros as well. I think he's got a lot of notoriety there. He's got a lot of leeway there, and it keeps that core together, and it's where he's most comfortable at this point in his career. And I think that with him there in that rotation, the Astros once again could probably run it back and get to another World Series.
A lot of talk, Carlos, with New York of him coming to the Yankees. And
yeah, I'm not a big fan of Verlander, and I don't. The Yankees had already messed up not pitching Cole the way they should have, but I mean. Why would you have two guns on the team if you can't even control one and let him spout out? So
they both had their problems in the postseason too. So
yeah, I know. Verlander's probably going to get like 1 or 2 offers, and he's going to use that and try to re-up with the Astros. I think so. I think he just stays because he done garner that much respect over both division, like both leagues, that he would be somebody that teams would go after. I think there's only a couple of teams that would want someone like him. So, I think he stays with the Astros.
So the shortstop situation, there's a pretty good logjam there, and there's no shortage of teams that are going to need shortstops. And maybe the Yankees get involved, maybe they don't, maybe they turn it over to the kids. We'll see. But who do you think is if you had a team that needed a shortstop, and really neither of you guys do, which guy of these 4 would you want? Swanson? Turner? Seager?
I would take Trey Turner.
Not Seager, sorry. Trey Turner?
I would take Trey Turner. And in fact, I think for you, Keith, the Yankees, I think their 2 biggest needs, go get Aaron Judge, go get Trey Turner. I think those are the 2 guys that they need to bring in because they really need to shore up that shortstop position. I love IKF as much as the next guy. I love what he did here in Texas, but his defense did not get better as the year went on, and I think
playing in New York the stage was a little big for him because once the negative comments started coming, his play got worse. So I don't know that he's built for this. He could be a utility guy, and that'd be fine, but can't throw him out there every day anymore. So Trey Turner might be an option for the Yankees. On the left side, I don't
think the Yankees go that route. They got a lot of youth, and they need to let the kids play. They're going to try to move money around any which way they can. Even if they miss on Judge, they're going to try to go and do other things. They got to replace that pitching staff that they already lost Chapman. They need to do a lot of different things. So I don't think that the Yankees are all in on trying to get a new shortstop. What they should do is focus in on at least getting 2 big pitchers, 2 big names out there, or moving some guys up and around. And IKF, I think was going to be okay. You signed him thinking that he was going to be the same player or better that he was in Texas, and I think he can be better. I just think that also the team around him wasn't what he's used to. And what I say by that is that they came ultra dependent on him in hitting and then also trying to get him deep in the game. So when they gave him some rest, when he went in there and got on a short little run, he did well. When they put other guys in there and gave him too much of a rest and then try to get him hitting, he didn't do so well. So I think he just got to figure it out.
My problem.
I think they'll be okay with IKF, and the whole Donaldson thing. I think it's just them saying they're going to keep him. I don't think they're going to keep him.
They're going to eat that contract. They have to.
They'll eat it, but I don't think they'll keep it.
Eat the contract and be done with it. As far as IKF goes, I'm going to IKF. I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think he cannot handle he didn't handle the adversity well. That's why I'm not a big fan of him coming back and being the everyday shortstop. Now I will surprise you, Carlos, but this is a new year, so I'm not really changing my tune that much. I'm ready to give the job to one of these kids next year. I'm ready to find out if they can play or not on the big league level. They've done everything they can do at AAA. There's no reason for him to be there anymore. So I don't go out and sign Turner as much as I love his game. I give the ball to one of these kids.
Yeah, and they did the contractual with the minors. So the guys that you have on the AA and AAA are the guys that should be on the roster. because they can't hold too many players anymore. So you have to move them up, man. You got to see what's up, and you have the team right now to do that. To get a little renovation in that house and shore it up, make it look nice again.
I like Volpe a little bit better than
Volpe, yeah.
Volpe a little bit better than Peraza, but we'll see. They both have got a lot of upside. So I
wouldn't mind putting IKF on third, Volpe and Peraza, and have the youngest and probably one of the most exciting infield if you could do that.
I think you might see Gonzalez starting at third base next year myself.
Yeah, and Gonzalez is another one. There you go. You got a lot of guys that can come up, man.
Or Cabrera, I'm sorry, not Gonzalez, Cabrera.
And see, IKF is so versatile in where he can play. He could also be like a backup catcher. He can play out in the outfield as well. He did all that and more for Texas when he was here. He played catcher. He was a Gold Glove third baseman for us a while back.
And that's fine. I don't want to get rid of him. I just want him in that role, right? And if Cabrera moves to third base, let's say, they need somebody to fill the role he filled, which was all over the field. So because Marwin Gonzalez is done, I don't think they want him to come back. So IKF could be that guy.
And does Rizzo stay in first base?
I think they'll bring Rizzo back. Yes.
I was gonna say if you want to have a day where if you want to have Judge be a DH or if you want to have Stanton be a DH, you could throw IKF in either left or right.
Yeah,
and throw him out there.
To your question about Rizzo, I think the Yankees need to bring him back. I don't see a better option out there for them. They don't have one in house unless it's DJ, but you can't rely on him to play 140 games either. And again, you and I have this argument over leadership, but Rizzo is a leader on the field, and I like that what he brings. And he's still a productive player as well, so I would bring him back.
Again, the guy from that 2016 Cubs World Series team that I really, really was upset that he left, but I'm glad that he's doing well and that he's becoming a leader for that Yankee organization.
All right, real quick then. Here's the top four shortstops. Dansby Swanson, where's he end up?
I think he goes back to Atlanta.
I agree. Bogarts.
I'm going to say the Dodgers.
Ooh.
If Trey Turner leaves, that'd be a bold move. I'm going to say back to the Red Sox.
The Red Sox or the White Sox?
Turner.
Anywhere he wants. Whatever team's giving him the biggest payday.
You know what? Blue Jays are signing one of these guys. I got a feeling. I don't know. They might want to move Bichette. They might want to move Bichette out of shortstop. Maybe not off the team, but off a shortstop. Watch. And Korea can also name his own ticket, probably.
I would say for Trey Turner, either the Yankees or the Twins.
The Twins?
Well, Twins got to replace Korea, and he's not going to go back there most likely. So, but I don't know. Is Turner? Turner's I don't know who his agent is, but that always matters in these things, right? Because whoever your agent is, you either go for the money or you go for the opportunity to win, and still get paid because you're going to get paid handsomely regardless. So, I'm going to say that
the Tigers.
Oh God, the Tigers. Go there. Anyway. Let's move on quickly. Let's go to the NFL. Biggest surprise so far. I'll give you mine real quick. Geno Smith, the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, Seahawks, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Carlos, you may not like this, but Jets, Jets.
Oh, no.
Jets are a huge surprise. You cannot argue anymore, Carlos. And
they don't have a quarterback that they want, but they have a quarterback that they're using. So,
and likewise in New York, the Giants as well.
They ain't got a quarterback they need, but they got a quarterback they're using.
The Giants and the Jets are in the position both to make the playoffs. They only need to win 3 more games each, and they'll be in the playoffs. 9 wins is getting in both.
They're just shooting themselves in the foot or getting those draft picks. That's all they're doing.
Well, that's foolish. So you want this team to tank to get more draft picks?
At least this year, if we get a quarterback that they can actually
So you don't think so? Zach Wilson just went out and beat the Bills, but that's not good enough for you.
I mean, he didn't beat the Bills. The defense beat the Bills, and the fact that what's his name has an injury. So,
well, he got injured in the fourth quarter when the game was
when he needed him to be what he is. So.
You're not going to give Zach Wilson a break. I'm telling you. Let him go somewhere else, and when he ends up in a Hall of Fame or something, you're going to be like, why?
Hall is very good.
You can't give up on guys a year and a half into their season. And Daniel Jones, by the way, is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC right now, numbers-wise. 3 fourth-quarter comebacks besides. Good enough.
Yeah.
Was that Alan shushing Carlos?
No, that's mine. That's me shushing my little one.
Hi.
It's Veterans Day, so the kids don't go to school, and this girl's been all over the place.
Yeah, we probably ought to get her opinion about it right in yours anyway. So.
Yeah, she'll root for anybody that she can spell. So I guess it's the Jets right now.
So,
Go see. Bye. Go.
Bye.
Bye.
Go.
Bye.
Let me throw a couple of surprise teams. Let me throw a couple of team names out there, and you tell me whether they're going to do better or worse over the second half of the season. The Jets.
Worse.
About the same. I think they'll be about the same.
I
don't think they'll be better. I don't think they'll be better, but I think they'll be about right where they're at.
But I think they're going to win 9 games, and I think they'll make the playoffs right now. I think every team. Here's a yes or no for you. Every team in the AFC East makes the playoffs.
Oof.
It's close right now.
It's close. Right? It's close, but
at most 2, at the very least 3.
Keith, how about all 32 teams will be in the playoffs?
Well, then we're heading there. We'll get there soon enough. Let's see who else. Bills, better or worse?
Worse.
Better. I think once Josh Allen gets healthy, they'll find their groove again.
He ain't got that much time to get healthy, man.
Bengals, better or worse?
Worse.
I think they'll be better. I think that offensive line's got to get better. They can't play any worse. I think they'll be a bit better.
Well, they got Jamar Chase still come in and out of the lineup.
And they need to get him healthy.
In the lineup.
Once Chase gets back, they'll be fine.
There's a lot of weight. Huh?
Yeah, the AFC South in general, better or worse?
Worse.
AFC South.
Carlos has got one team in there that he roots for. So.
I think the Jaguars are on the up, but they're still young. They keep making
wins. They don't know how to win yet.
Huh?
They haven't learned how to win yet.
Yeah,
right?
that's the problem.
They play good football, but they haven't learned how to win.
And the Texans are the Texans right now. Yeah, there's only a couple teams there. And Indianapolis is, I don't know, they got a high school coach now. So
here's how I feel about it. The Titans are one-dimensional. They have a rookie quarterback who's scared to throw the football. The Colts have a head coach who hasn't coached a day in the NFL, though I am rooting for Jeff Saturday because I believe he's saying all the right things. The Jaguars are a young team. I don't think they're ready to win yet. And the Texans, I like what their organization is doing, especially with that running back in Dameon Pierce. But again, they're still a long ways out.
Yeah.
Chiefs, better or worse?
The what? The Chiefs?
Chiefs.
I think they'll get better. They got a lot of young guys in that squad right now, and they're only getting better. They're surrounded by a few older guys that can help them. Stop getting all those stupid penalties, man.
I love what the Chiefs have done. Getting, I said them before the year, the demise was greatly exaggerated. What's your name, Alan?
I think they're the favorite right now in the AFC, so I do think they'll get better.
Broncos and Russell Wilson, better or worse?
Better. They got that defense to help balance them out.
How can they be worse?
I think they'll get
worse.
I think they'll get better. I think once Wilson gets a little bit more time with Judy, I think their offense will start to come together.
NFC East, better or worse?
Better. I think better. Better. I think the Eagles are going to go either 15-2 or 14-3. Cowboys are going to be in the playoffs. Giants and Commanders both will have a shot at being in the playoffs as well. So
that's crazy. Just hearing that is just crazy.
Giants, better or worse, Carlos?
I think worse. I mean, like they're right now they're fully dependent on offense on Saquon 90%. Their defense is okay, but they just lost that quarterback. So I don't know, man.
The other plus about Daniel Jones, he's doing this with like 0 weapons. So all right. And by the way, I will predict the Commanders beat the Eagles this week.
Woo!
It's my don't be surprised if.
Possible.
Vikings, better or worse? 7-1. Very surprising.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say worse because I don't trust Kirk Cousins. And
Nobody trusts.
I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think Green Bay wins this weekend because I think Dallas will roll them over. But next week, Thursday night, short week against the Texans, I think they start getting right.
No, they play the Titans.
They play
Titans, yes, Titans
This
on
week.
Thursday night.
Who are we talking
Titans
about?
Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday. Okay.
Green Bay. I think the Titans will upset Green Bay at Green Bay. They're playing their old coach, old offensive coordinator. He really isn't much of a coach. So
Green Bay better, worse, or done?
Done. That's it.
Done.
Aaron Rodgers is done.
Done.
Put a
Tampa Bay
stake in him.
Buccaneers, better, worse, or done?
Who?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, they got a shot. They're going to win in Germany.
Only because they got the worst division in football. That's the only reason this team's alive. This team will play worse in the second half.
The Tampa Bay Bucks?
Yep.
I will say this. Tom doesn't have to worry about his personal issues anymore, so he can focus strictly on football. So.
Well, he looked like Tom Brady for 44 seconds last week. So
I think the Bucks will get better.
Let's stick in the NFC South for a second. Does the team that wins this division have a 500 or an over? They can't be 500. Will they have an over 500 record?
So I think Atlanta will come in second and Tampa will come in first, and yeah, both will by maybe a game.
I predict 8-9 wins this division.
Week 18 is Tampa Bay at Atlanta. That game's going to be for the division, and I think Tampa wins it outright.
God, it'll probably be one of the worst football. Got to be on a Thursday night because those games are unwatchable.
Yeah, well, the Panthers play the Saints that weekend as well, right? The 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And that would determine whether the Saints are even going to be a playoff team.
Or the Panthers. The Panthers are only a half a game behind the Saints.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy. Yeah.
NFC West, better or worse?
NFC West, worse.
Worse, except for Seattle and San Francisco. I think those two teams will fight for a playoff spot.
I'm waiting for Geno Smith to be the quarterback the Jets drafted.
Rams, better, worse, or done?
Done.
I
think they're done.
I don't see any hope there. Their offense is so bad.
That's your pick for the Super Bowl, right?
I did. I said they'd be back, and my God, I cannot believe this is the worst post-Super Bowl team I can remember.
No, there's a couple more.
I'm not saying there's not other bad ones. This is one of the worst, probably because they're recent. But
I want to say, didn't both Super Bowl teams lose to Cooper Rush this year?
When you talk about Cooper Rush, yes, he did. Yes, Cooper Rush. The next, watch some team go out and sign Cooper Rush like they signed Flynn years ago, and all these guys. I'm really worried. Geno Smith is maybe he's turned a corner, but to me, he might have sold his soul or something. Because I'd be careful signing him to a long-term contract after this season too.
I was going to say, didn't Joe Namath do that to win Super Bowl III?
That's what Jet fans think. I know there are some fans that are in my family that think the Jets will never win a Super Bowl while Joe Namath lives.
Sounds about right.
A little harsh, I know, but good morning, Kenny. Good to have you with us this morning. What else would you look for quickly in the NFL? I want to get to the college football just real quick before we wrap.
There's more news this week about the ownership than there is about actually what's going on, and even in Europe and like the league being having so much parity. So, I want to see the.
You like parity?
No, I don't. I never said that. I think I just want to make sure. I just want to see the teams play better as they get into the season. And then hopefully these players that are getting these huge contracts play out to the contracts.
That's what I Packers, Cowboys, Rams, and Bills. Those are the four teams that I'm hearing are the teams that Odell Beckham wants to go to.
How about we don't give Odell what he wants and get him what he deserves?
I think the Cowboys sign Odell Beckham. They need another weapon for Dak if they want to really compete.
I mean, everybody wants him. CeeDee wants him. Zeke wants him.
I don't think
Active,
everybody
heavily
wants.
recruiting him.
I don't think that's false. I don't think everybody wants him. He
Yeah.
would have already been signed anyways. When somebody wants you, you already have a contract in your hand.
Well, he's also still battling an injury. I think he just got cleared
These guys
this
have been
week.
signed that have been injured. McCaffrey just got traded, and he's injury prone.
Yeah, you know what? He'd be one of the best weapons in the NFL if he could stay healthy. I love that.
Oh my god! You know what? I mentioned this before, but you guys don't see him. I think McCaffrey would probably be a better quarterback than he'd be an all-around running back because he was pretty decent in high school and he played and he could throw the ball. So plus he had his dad to practice with.
His dad was a wide receiver.
Exactly. That's who we had to practice.
I see. I got you. We don't have a lot of time left, but let's talk real quick about the college football playoff rankings. Right now, the committee's probably got it right. How confident are we that they're going to get it right at the end? Because there's a lot of this will change in the next 4 weeks.
It's a mess, bro.
Yeah,
I will make one prediction. It's a mess, and it's going to end up such a quagmire at the end of the day that you're going to see the 12-team playoff next year.
You gotta add the quote.
2 years from now, 4 years from now, it's going to be next year.
You got to quote your basement author guy.
Well, no, I didn't say 16. If I push my 16 team plan, that I got to quote Basement Bob.
I'll give you my final four right now.
Go ahead.
Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC.
So that means you have Michigan beating Ohio State. TCU's got to run the table, correct?
Yeah.
I think they go into Austin and beat Texas.
They can't lose.
They could beat Texas.
I think they get beat this week against Texas.
Yeah, look at that one.
2 tough games, Texas and Baylor, in the next couple weeks.
I think that Baylor game is going to mess them up because Baylor will play up to the competition.
Who do you have USC beating in the championship game in the Pac-12? Oregon.
Oregon, yep. I think they beat Oregon to get in.
Yeah, I think that game will catapult one of those teams into the playoff. I really do. I agree with that. But the long shot of long shots, don't forget, Lane Kiffin runs the table.
Oh, Miss
wins the SEC. Ole Miss could go from 11 to in the playoff. They could.
They do need LSU to lose one more game.
Need LSU to lose one game. Yes. So. Could happen though. LSU's not who they got this week. They could lose this week. Who are they playing?
They have Missouri at home. They have Missouri at home, I think, this week.
I thought they had Arkansas this week.
Either Missouri or Arkansas. I know one of those teams. Missouri.
LSU could have a letdown this week. Brian Kelly's done a tremendous job this year. I did not think this team would be competing for an SEC championship this year. So kudos to him, and kudos for him for going for 2.
I think the SEC's got a problem now. So all these teams being competitive, they're probably not going to have any divisions next year the way this is going.
They've talked about who's eliminating divisions already. The ACC is
ACC and Pac-12.
Yeah, Pac-12 and the SEC's talked about it as well. So we'll see.
No, because they got way too many teams.
You almost have to schedule fairly, I think. Right.
I will say this though: trap games for both Georgia and Alabama this week. Like you said, Alabama goes to Ole Miss, Georgia going to Mississippi State. I think that could be a rough game for them.
Agreed. So, Alan, who's the team that could come? Well, you've already got USC coming from 8. Is that your team that can come the farthest from to the top?
From the farthest,
Potentially,
UCLA. I would say if UCLA runs the table, maybe they sneak in there.
Yeah, I think you're going to find out at the end of this. Like I said, the quagmire is you're going to have a bunch of one-loss teams, and some of them who didn't even make their conference championship game in the mix for that 4th spot. That's where you're going to come up with all these comparisons of schedules and head-to-head stuff, and I think it's going to be a mess. And I think we'll have a 12-team playoff next year.
I like that Georgia's doing what they're doing, but Tennessee's going to run that table maybe, and if they do, that's just a wrench in the system. So.
Agreed. Well, guys, we're out of time. Thanks, Alan, for jumping in. And Carlos, you're docked a day's pay, or at least half a day's pay. So
I get it.
you're looking for your check.
No Happy Meals today.
You did a great job once you got here, Carlos. And thanks for jumping in, Alan. Guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for debating this hour with us. CA, thanks for listening while you did your firewood. It was fun. And Kenny, we'll talk to you later as well.
Thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day to everybody.
Hey.